I'm Lauren.
And I'm Annie.
Welcome to Burf Barf. Ooh, it's an exciting episode. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like talking.
Oh, that's good. Ooh, wee. What's in your butt?
What's in your butt? We promised we would do that. Yeah, I feel like I have enjoyed races lately. In the past year and still not felt like talking about them very much. I don't know why. It's very un-Lauren. I'm becoming a new Lauren.
Sure.
But BFC has returned me to my true and original state, which is the one where I want to tell you everything I've ever thought and felt, especially about this race.
Oh, and what race are we talking about today?
It's the Barkley Fall Classic.
The Barkley Fall Classic.
So,
we have so much to talk about. We should start with we should start with our normal stuff. So
right. First,
we have a new Patreon.
We have a new Patreon that is already dear to my heart.
The one and only Christopher Haas.
Welcome, Chris Haas. Chris and I don't know each other very well, but we're getting to know each other very quickly. He reached out to me while he was training for BFC. He is not historically a runner, but a hiker, and asked me if he thought it was a good idea to do this race, and I didn't know how to say absolutely not. But a hiking background is actually really, really great for this race, because I feel like if you're a strong and persistent hiker who's not turned off by a bunch of ridiculous bullshit and you can continue to move, then yes, I think it's perfect. In the end, Chris not only finished the 50K, but he beat me by a good chunk of time. So what he discovered about himself is that he can run downhill really well.
I mean, that's a heck of a time to determine that. Usually I feel like that's something that one should discover
while training for months and months, possibly, as many of us do, years as we train for this race.
But his way sounds a lot more whimsical.
It sure does. Enjoyable. It sure does. And we'd also like to dedicate part of this podcast to his mom, who passed away a few years ago. And he had mentioned that to us in his tribute to us for our Patreon. We're deeply moved by that. There are some other elements of stuff that Chris and I have been talking about that I think I would like to talk a little bit later about how all bodies are good bodies and all bodies can do amazing things. And so we'll get there. But welcome. You're an official barfer now. Can I skip all of the getting there stuff and just go straight into the meat?
No.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So
this is the part I get bored by.
Yeah, there might be, well, you shouldn't be. You should be deeply invested in this, and I will tell you why.
Okay.
So first off, this is part of our, history as Burf Barf and as friends is going to the Barkley Fall Classic.
It is.
This was your 7th year going?
This is my 7th attempt, yes.
And this was my 5th year going.
Mm-hmm.
Or racing, I should say. I've gone 6 years. Twice.
So you had 1 year where you had a stress fracture.
Yep.
You broke your ham bone.
Yep.
And you had another year where it was COVID. No.
I think
you abstained from the COVID year, no?
I wasn't in before COVID.
Oh, okay.
Regardless.
So you didn't get in, and it wasn't a good year for you anyway.
Yeah.
So 2 extenuating circumstances, and the other 5 years you raced.
Yeah. Also, BFC was kind of an impetus, I think, for this podcast, because guess what is in 8 days? Our 4-year Burf Barf anniversary.
Oh, okay. You're right. I didn't know that, and I am excited to hear that.
Yeah. We've been doing this podcast for 4 years.
Wow, that's astonishing. From humble beginnings in my dad's basement.
From humble beginnings to humble middles.
We do continue to be.
So that's all the background I wanted
trappings.
to get. So we can do it. We can get right into it.
Okay. I think the only other pre-race thing that I would love, I have a couple pre-race things. Our friend Andrea, who we met, who is a Rib Mountain racer and an adventure racer, we had spoken with her last week at Adventure Race Nationals, along with our other friend Olga, who both said, hey, we're also coming to race BFC.
Which is wild.
Wow.
We've got like a hefty little club of
AR
national level adventure racers doing the Barkley Fall Classic.
I'd
be interested to know, and if anybody's listening, I'm happy to point this out, if there was any men that did the Adventure Race Nationals in BFC.
I have a feeling that there were.
Probably. I only know of women, though.
Yeah, so our friend Andrea, she was getting ready in the car next to ours, and we had gotten there quite early, which was a choice. Thank you, Lang. And so we were like, so, what's your plan for the day? And she was like, well, I'd like to win it. And I was like, you do what?
Yeah.
You'd like to what?
And she'd messaged that before as well, like, well, I'm going for the win, so I'm just wondering if I should do bottles or bladders. And I said, I couldn't begin to tell you, because that's a fast person question, and that's not me. I am no help here. Good day.
If the time for you between aid stations is 24 minutes and it's 3 hours for me, I don't know how you should fuel or drink your water. I have no concept of that.
So I have to give Andrew a lot of credit for her boldness in stating her goals and going for them outright, because, spoiler alert, she won. She won.
Talk about badass bitches who, like, throw down the gauntlet and do just what they say they're going to do. Wow, really? And that's not just, like, putting it into the universe. That's like, oh, no, I'm fucking tough. I'm a great ultra runner.
Yeah.
And I'm also, a map reader.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine. I know that for a while, like, on Ratjaw, she was with some of the other elite men. But I think there are plenty of opportunities on this course to have to look at a map if no one is with you.
Also, she said that she led for part of the time at Bratjaw because a group of elite men, I believe, took a wrong turn.
Yes, I did hear that. That does make me happy.
That's dope. That's dope. So, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing. I saw some of my old other veteran pals, as usual, just in the line for the shitter, getting so nervous that I think I might die. I don't think I was nervous at all last year because there were so few people at the start. I even watched a video of it this morning on YouTube. We're all like over 15 feet apart, and there's so few of us, and we staged in groups, so you're only there with like 10 other people.
Yeah.
I think that took away from the scariness because there was no fanfare.
Even though you had 2 Ratjaws.
Yeah, that was scary. But I mean, having like 415 people toe the line at this race and standing back in that corral, like in a real race situation again, I was really like, I left my body. I was so nervous.
Yeah.
I escaped.
We should touch on briefly, because usually we have like a pre and a post BFC episode, so we're kind of smushing them into one a little bit. We don't have to do a lot of the pre stuff, but talk for a minute about your training and preparation and goals for this event.
Yes, okay. So I dedicated my entire summer to training for this event, and as usual, was terrified that I tapered too early and that I had lost all of the fitness that I spent all summer building, which is never true, but it's just a little worm that creeps in.
It's part of your process.
It is part of my process, but I absolutely am in a sheer state of panic in the last 2 weeks thinking, why did I stop training too early?
Why did you stop training? You did nationals, and you tapered for nationals. That's 2 weeks.
It felt too long, for sure. But, so I was streaking, so I was running every day. I did 2 a days for 4 days a week, most of the summer, where I would lift in the morning or do treadmill or do like stair mill, and then in the evening do my run. I was doing every Tuesdays at the dam, doing as much vert as possible. Wednesdays I was doing track to increase my speed, and every Saturday I was doing a long run. And I also had Laurel Highlands is a pretty big effort, and I also I would like to say that I really threw myself into the Bailey's races. I put some heavy efforts in there, so those are a couple race pace level efforts. But I was very consistent in my training, and I felt, at the time, very solid about it.
Yeah.
Until the 2 weeks before the race. And then I panicked.
And I, on the other hand, COVID really, put a damper on any motivation for me. I think as much as Lauren were digging more into training and as a way to cope, mine was to go the other way and do less as a way to cope, for the stress of the last year and a half. And so while I've had some motivation come back, which I'm excited about, any of that I've used to train for nationals and do more bike miles, because that's what's been giving back to me. Running has only felt like it's taking from me. So I went into this event kind of feeling like, oh no, because I've just developed a lot of complex feelings around BFC between missing, not being able to do the streak anymore when I had a stress fracture, not doing it the year of COVID. Like I was out the year of the stress fracture, made the 50K the following year, then didn't make the 50K the year after that, even though I had trained and done a bunch of sauna work for that in 2019. So this year felt like a crapshoot, and like it can be one thing to say, like, I'm just gonna go in and whatever happens, happens. And I also knew, like, sometimes that mindset is not entirely in my control. So one thing I was worried about is that I'd go in thinking, whatever happens, happens, and that's fine. And then it would be like, fuck, Lauren got the 50K and this feels terrible. I feel like a failure. And I was trying to be really conscientious about, like, doing my thing, also understanding that I had made the choice or taken action or inaction to not train for this months ago. Like, and that there was nothing to do on race day.
So you have to admit your own attachment to the outcome and also, like, feel acceptance for your own attachment, right?
Yes. Yeah. I have to give a shout out to my little sister Alex for calling out. She was like,
I love this.
She said, what are your feelings about it? And I was like, I'm just not trained up for this. And she said, well, why aren't you trained up for it? And I was like, because I didn't want to. Essentially, I mean, that's what it comes down to. I wanted to do bike miles instead. I wanted to train for nationals and adventure racing instead. And she was like, okay, so then why didn't you train for it? And I'm like, that's an excellent question. Because it wasn't as important to me, which even that's hard to say out loud, but that's true. And, when people talk about not having time to train for something, I feel like we're always kind of like,
we don't take
it's
excuses.
not as important. Whether it's an excuse or not, if you don't train for it.
It's a matter of value.
Yes. There are other things that were more important to you. So she said, and I'll say verbatim, she said, your passion, if you wanted to do this, your passion would have been to train for BFC this year to give it your all, but you didn't want to, so embrace where your passion did go and just give it all you got this weekend and have a blast. Let go of the negative possibilities and get pumped.
Whoopsie doodles, you accidentally trained your sister to talk to you the way you talk to everyone.
I Annie Langed myself. So I'm just so wise.
Yeah, that your own boomerang of wisdom came back and smacked you in the head.
Yes. So that was my plan going in, and honestly, like, I felt like if I DNF'd, I would have deserved it. If I would have gotten a marathon, I would have deserved it. If I would have gotten the 50K, I would have deserved it.
Yeah.
So, that's so mine was different than yours for sure.
There's also, there are two things about this, about the outcome, and it's that for me, it feels like there's a tremendous amount of pressure for me to not ever skip and to do well. And I like that pressure. It's not a pressure that's not welcome. Like, I like the heat of that.
Yeah.
And for you can't say like, well, I messed up my streak, so I don't care, because that's obviously not true, because Frozen Head State Park is a big part of your passion for adventuring and running.
Yeah.
And the people there and the culture surrounding it is a big part of why you do what you do.
Yeah.
And it's like a big part of your love.
Yeah.
So to say like, well, it doesn't really matter is like, we know that that's not true.
Yeah.
But to be like, okay, I'm owning up to my training, but I'm going to like do my best and see what happens. I mean, I think everybody around you feels like it's Lang. She'll find a way,
Which is funny to me. It makes me think of that chapter in How Bad Do You Want It? And it was that, I wish I could remember the athlete's name, and she like won Ironman like 8 years in a row, and everybody was like, oh yeah, she just, that's just what she does. But every year, she still had to show up and give as much as she ever did. So I think you have some of that too. Like, the fact that you've shown up for this thing 7 years and been performing at that level is wild to think about.
To me, it's amazing that I feel like I can stay in that kind of shape this many years, because I feel like eventually like age is just gonna punch me in the guts and be like,
I don't know, there's plenty of olds that did the 50K.
Oh my god, so many fantastic olds.
You really don't have any excuses.
No, I don't. So, I won't use any.
So we get our course maps, and the course was a lot different than it's ever been before.
It was. There's usually saved for the end a bigger and more difficult chunk, I would say, that that the difference between going on and staying is a much scarier concept for people.
Sure.
And in this situation, there were still an incredible amount of DNFs. But I think that the intensity level of, like, do you want to do 6 more miles with an okay medium climb? Like, I feel like people might have said, like, yeah, I can do that. But, like, when it's what it usually is, it's like, sweet Mother Mary, I might kill myself.
And, you know, it makes me think that in actuality, rather than the on paper decision point of when people were allowed to continue for the 50K or had to cut out to do the marathon, I think what it did is, in actuality, the decision point was way earlier than that for people.
Yes.
People were making the decision at, like, the prison. Before going up the full rat jaw for the second time. After doing a half rat jaw, doing the full rat jaw the second time. I feel like that's when people were deciding in their mind if they were going to go on or not. Because, like, it almost seemed like if you got to the... And I'd be interested to know this, how many people got to the decision point that had plenty of time that didn't go on. I would imagine a lot more people than normal that made the cutoff.
You can tell by the marathon finish times, and I think a lot of those people would not have made it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Even though in the past, people have gotten there, had time to continue, and didn't because it was...
Well, the comical thing is that he gave you like 55 minutes from the cutoff point to go on if you wanted to, and not even if you wanted it more than anything in the world would that be possible.
Yeah.
You would have to run like 9-minute miles.
Yeah. Somebody out there could.
Up Bird Mountain.
Yeah.
Someone could, but it would be insane.
But it was I thought it was a fun and interesting course because, and we can just get into it. Like,
we can get into it.
Yeah, so we started the race, and instead of going up Bird Mountain to start, we did like a Jeep road loop that went out towards the northeast corner of the park, not all the way out to the garden spot, but towards that neck of the woods. And it was awesome. Like, I almost hate to say, like, yay, because, you know, if you like anything too much, Laz will take it away. But
he will.
The fact that people could string out, and I think part of it was due to COVID.
The conga line was like...
Yeah.
In the past, we've talked with coaches to, like, try to strategize, like, ask your coach, like, do you think it's a good idea for me to blow my shit up from 1.5 miles on the road
because
to
being
beat
stuck,
people?
Yeah, because being stuck behind people going up Bird and down the backside of that ridge is really
it's very stressful.
An energy suck. Yeah, it's very stressful. So it's like, you know, it might work better to have a physical stress of going hard rather than the mental stress of wondering if you should pass people in the bushes or not.
So we got strung out early, which was great.
It was awesome. It was also not really any less epic because what we essentially ended up doing is going up the gain of Bird Mountain in that 3-mile Jeep climb.
Blanked it out. I was like, my friends. I was like, Ben Yancey, Rick Albanese. Hi, hello, my friends. I felt like I was being... I was flying on a magic carpet ride.
Yeah.
I have no memory of that climb.
Yeah. And I was just hoofing it along at my power hike level and actually had one of my first mantras come into my head at this point for the day, which I was super grateful. And that was, I can do this for 8 days.
Yes.
Because for Chaltouille, I essentially power hiked 98% of it. And so I was hoofing it up this Jeep road at not a pleasant grade. It's not a pleasant uphill grade, but I thought, I can do this for 8 days. And then I thought, like, so doing it for the daylight today seems okay.
Seems manageable.
Yeah.
We quickly hit a spot that I felt that I was worried might be unmanageable, which is a feature on the Big Barkley's course. We actually hit up the Pillars of Doom this year, which
is on the Cumberland Trail that goes through Frozen Head, so anybody is free to go to the Pillars of Doom.
That is not a secret location.
Yeah.
But it's everything I fear in the world wrapped up into one feature. It's heights and slippery rocks and having to jump from one object to another.
But it's so cool!
Is it though?
It is.
Okay. Luckily there were so many people there that I knew that I had to move through, so I just went and did it.
Was it a bottleneck when you went through? It was pretty spaced out when I went.
No. But there were 4 people behind me, ready to go.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You're like, look at me, go over this like a normal person.
Yeah.
Look at how normal I am.
Yeah, it made me freak out a little bit. So, It was cool to see a new part of the park that I'd never seen before, coming down that backside to see the...
It was beautiful!
There's a lake, there's some lovely...
a lake over there!
Who fucking knew? There's some lovely pine trail.
Beautiful! And, that section was also... Yeah, it was just beautiful on that part. So the Cumberland Trail going through the Ross Gap until you come out near the volleyball fields at the entrance to Frozen Head. And this was the first of many 2 runnable descents, though, that just made me feel like my guts were going to jiggle out of my butt.
I mean, runnable. It was like...
It was...
Baby Head rutted out Jeep Road. That
on
was
some parts, but...
It was so steep.
Yeah.
I was already like, oh, well, today I will lose both of my kneecaps.
Yeah, and
I knew immediately.
So it was 1,300 feet of descent in 2 miles. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Ooh, it was not a fun way to finish
I also think those runnable descents is a big contributor, I think, for me on why I'm so fucking sore, because as all people who have done a lot of gain or trained for gain before, like you know, it's important to train for the up, but the down is all muscle absorption and I forget what the word is when your muscle has to like flex to slow you down. But that's the stuff that just like shreds your muscles if you haven't trained a lot of descent.
And last year I didn't. Last year I didn't. I blew out my quads on the back of Bird Mountain, which was the very first descent, and I was like, and I thought, this is my race. I fucked it up. My day's over. And so this summer I did a lot of like pummeling down the dam, like go up very slow, blast down as hard as you can. So I did train for that specifically.
That's good. So by the time we got to the visitor center and went up Chimney Top, we had on via course map like 7 miles down, but we'd actually done like 10 miles by the time we got there.
I did not know that.
Yeah, before we started Chimney Top, which to me was reassuring because I was like, we're like a quarter of the way done mileage wise. I know that doesn't mean anything time wise.
It took me 2 hours and 45 minutes to finish the first loop.
Yeah, so there you go. Quarter of the time.
Okay, because I was like, oh God, why is 6 miles taking me so long? I was panicking.
It was 10 miles.
That makes me feel so much better.
Yeah,
Thanks for that info.
And also, if you think about it, so quarter of the mileage, you did 12 hours.
Yeah, okay.
3 hours.
Yeah. I was like, this is not adding up. I have concerns. But I headed up Chimney. It's a bad idea to give me Chimney first because Chimney's where I shine.
That's where you go for blood.
That's where I go for blood. And I usually do a lot of passing and having fun there. And like, I love to see the carnage. I've also raced with someone to the top of Chimney before, which was like the most fun thing that's ever happened on this.
Fuck you.
Oh my God. He was like, let's just see what we can do. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So I have a lot of...
I can't even imagine anything but a death march of Chimney because it's just, Chimney Top is the unspoken terror of the Barkley Fall Classic.
And I read someone say that in the forum this week. They were like, I don't know why this feature is not mentioned in all of the race reviews because it's so hard.
It's rough. I think the assumption is because it is part of the park trail system that it's like standard or whatever. But so the Chimney Top Trail section I think is 7.3 miles or something like that.
Oh really? Okay.
I don't know where
the climb is like 6.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think it goes down.
Yeah, I think maybe when it gets to the Jeep trail, the Jeep Road officially, it might be like 7.2 or something. Yeah. But Chimney Top has 1,700 false summits.
Yeah. It's relentless.
And there was no less carnage on Chimney Top.
It was amazing. I loved every moment of it. I loved it.
I just I cannot believe that there was still as much carnage with it being so much earlier than the race than it normally is. People leaning against
I know.
trees.
Oh God, it's so great. And I gotta say, big ups to the women of BFC. There was a choo-choo of 7 women, hands on hips, up on their toes going bing, 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 bing. And men were just falling off and sitting down and leaning against trees and throwing up and asking for salt. People were fucked up already. And I was like, look at all these women go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, okay, so towards the very top, after I had told people, after they all had said behind me, this is a 3-mile climb, and I would turn around like a fucking troll and be like, it's 7 miles. It goes on forever. Don't get stoked. Mm-hmm. You're not done here. So I started feeling really good towards the end of this climb. And my new mantra for myself was, don't rule out your own miraculous success. Like, you could top 10. You could, who
knows?
Who knows what you could do today? You could, so just open it up, see what you can do. Don't lose it. Like, don't blast it out of the stratosphere.
Yeah.
But see what you can do.
Yeah. I started to have some calf cramping going up chimney top, and I was like, whoa, this is way too early for this. And I was like, I actually thought about coming back down chimney.
No, you did
Yes,
not.
I did. I really did.
I saw 3 people walk back down chimney.
Yeah. I saw a guy that came down, and somebody was like, are you all right? And he goes, just trying to prevent an emergency. And I was like... That's
very good. That's very kind of you.
And I thought, yes, I also have an emergency. I need to leave. And I just was like, oh man, if this is like this all day, it might be a really hard time. But I like pushed a bunch of salt into me, took some Advil, was just like, okay, like I'm just, and then my next mantra came into my head, which was like, to not put any pressure on myself, I just asked myself, what if I didn't stop? Rather than, I feel like a lot of times what goes through my head is, what if I stop?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I stop?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I stopped, like, I'd get to go take a shower, I could go sit down, I don't have to do this. And I just thought, what if I didn't stop? Like, that's the only thing I have to consider is, like, what if I didn't stop? Not like, what if I went faster? What if I did this? I'm just going to keep chugging. And if I have to go, like, a half a mile an hour, that will be okay.
Yeah, that's good wisdom.
Going to be okay with that.
That's good wisdom.
And by the time I got to the fall summits, I felt kind of Lauren Crafty,
Ooh.
which I was really stoked about.
Oh.
Like, there was a guy that was, like, dying on the side of the tree, and he was like, I just can't think of any jokes. And I was like, okay. And I told a couple jokes, and, like, screamed at people
Shut
down
the fuck up.
Yes, I did. I said, why is there 239 beans in a can of Boston baked beans?
Why?
Because otherwise it'd be 240. 240.
Oh dear.
Well,
I'm glad you were able to tell jokes when others could not. That is a true gift.
And I was like shouting down the hill at people like, you're doing great! And I was like, and at this time it had started to rain, which I was so happy about.
Yeah, it was good.
And it was foggy. The sun was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
I was holding my arms out to my sides going, we are so fucking lucky.
Yeah.
We're so lucky.
When we came over the capstones and there was visible fog in the distance, I turned around to the stranger behind me and I was like, it's so beautiful.
Like, I wonder if people
are
so like...
beautiful.
These people are full of shit.
Yeah, it must
that
think
is
we're
really
psychotic.
how I felt. So, like, it was nice to go start chimney top and be like, I don't know if this is going to happen today, and my legs are this close to cramping, and then being like, oh, maybe this is how Lauren feels at the top of chimney top. Which is not like dog shit.
Well, and we had our first drama on Chimney Top of the day, which is that, and I'm sure that there's plenty of lore already surrounding this situation, so I won't say anything that I don't know for sure. I know that a guy went down on Chimney Top, that he had some cramping, and then he ended up perhaps going unconscious, and that he required some pretty serious medical attention. One of our good friends, Ben Neibauer, was out there and it ended up helping him for hours in the rain along with a team of other people. And so want to say, Ben, you're a very sweet man who gave up his race to sit with a guy who was definitely in some danger. So that was really cool of you.
Yeah.
We hope that runner is okay. I know that they got him an IV up there.
And I think I've already seen the runner respond to a couple of comments. So I think they're good to go.
Great. Great.
Just a rough day.
Know that like a quarter into this race, like medical attention is already coming to the course.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to sneeze at, this one.
Because so many people, I'm changing subject a little, because so many people listen to these episodes as preparation for Barkley Fall Classic, which I think we learned like 30 times over.
Yeah.
So, hello, dear listener that just found out they got into Barkley Fall Classic in 2022 and is listening to this as a last-minute homework. Welcome, you're not alone.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, key advice for Chimney Top is don't think about getting to the top. Just think about continuing to go until you are done. Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's very good.
Don't ask if we're at the top yet. It will not serve you.
Mm-mm.
Just think about being on an endless uphill.
Pack your own salt tabs, electrolytes, Advil, and Tums in a little Ziploc bag. Pack your own butt wipes in a little Ziploc bag. make sure that you hydrate constantly and that you're not drinking just water. Some of these might seem like very simple things to say to accomplished ultra runners, but maybe this is your first time coming to a race of this size and distance and challenge level.
And the combination of things at BFC is like cramp central.
Yes.
For a lot of people.
I ended up giving some of my salt tabs, which I also borrowed at the beginning of the race, to somebody who was cramping up, and he ended up going on a great success. I was super stoked on that.
That's awesome. I ended up having 7 salt pills over the day, which that's the most I've done.
Oh man, I did at least 8, yeah. But yes, so those are all things to consider, especially in heat, that you're going to be losing a tremendous amount of salt. Like, I was already like sandpaper on my face from the amount of salt that I had lost in the first 3 hours of the race.
Yeah. And it was cool.
And it was nice out.
Cool this
year.
It
was nice out, yeah. So.
Chimney top. To Tub Springs, and then we began. So the next part of the course is when some of the rad stuff came in.
Yeah.
Some of the off-trail stuff.
Yeah, some of the features.
Yes, some of the features, sure. So the first up was a half jaunt of Rat Jaw, so you came in at the halfway point or so.
I'm going to go ahead and say, I think this is a little silly. I think this is like Laz and Derb took a red crayon on a big map and went doot, 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 and around here, and then back over here, and then down here.
Yeah, there's no reason they had to add that.
It's so silly.
However, so what ended up happening is that you did a half Rat Jaw, and then you ran back down the same way to continue on to the course.
Oh, yes.
So there was people who are done with their half Rat Jaw that were running down the same part of the course as the people who had yet to do their half Rat Jaw. And the mental anguish of that...
It was some serious mental anguish.
Very intentional.
Yes, we were running alongside this really handsome dude with these tinted glasses, and he was like, chatty, and he was like, no, you guys... And I don't know how he knew. He's like, you guys have to turn right. And we were like, why do you get to go forward? He goes, because I already did it. And then we were like, oh, no.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. Several people chatting and then being like, oh.
Yeah. This is where I picked up my new friend, Taylor Budd, who's a friend of the podcast. And I got to run with her for a shitload of time that day. Like, on and off, yo-yoed with her all day and got to talk to her a lot about running and racing and trying hard things. And she's an absolute freaking delight and just a powerhouse. I mean, I could see she was holding back to hang with me to talk, and I was like, I can't express this enough to you. If you have it, you must use it, you must go. And she was like, no, I'm just going to stay. And I'm like, you must use your power and go. Leave me here.
Consider, though, that we all, I think, have a tendency to feel like the other person is having an easier time than you.
She was able to run faster.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
But anyway, it was a delight to have you. Oh my God, I was so happy to have someone to talk to.
So during the first half Rat Jaw, I'm like super pleased. The first half Rat Jaw didn't take anything from me.
Me neither.
It was great.
It was great.
I actually enjoyed it more than going up the Jeep Road. I enjoyed it more than going up Chimney Top because the point of those things is not the elevation gain, so it just feels like added shit.
Yeah.
And going up Rat Jaw, you're like, oh, the stupid steepness of this is the thing, and that's what I'm doing.
And I go for that. I go because I like to do Rat Jaw. I will say, I'm just going to slip this in here because this is probably going to be... I'm going to slip it in. This is the most important part of this podcast, and I'm going to say it now. I'm never going to do this race again without wearing full pants and full sleeves. It's all I've ever done every year until this year. And I thought, I'll just be cute in my matching outfit with my best friend and it'll be super cute. Fuck. I and you, we are covered in boo-boos.
Mine has nothing to do with wearing pants or sleeves.
I'm covered in poison ivy, and I know a lot of other people are too. But in general, I've always been the one who said to people, like, don't be an idiot for your Instagram photos and your stupid bloody legs. Wear fucking pants, you ding-dong. Yeah. I didn't do that. I wore thigh-high socks and shorts, and I was covered everywhere except for an inch, and that's where I got poison ivy. And when I went into my first rat, I was with Taylor, and I was like, I'm having fun talking and eating gummy worms. I don't want to put sleeves on. I'm just going to go. Idiot.
Oh, I forgot you even had them.
Idiot. I had them in my pack. It makes it even worse. I'm a ding-dong, and I'm never going to mess this up again. And I don't care how hot it is. I don't want to feel how I feel at this very moment, which is I'm in intense pain because my body hurts all over. I'm covered in poison ivy. I have scratches and I'm missing 3 toenails.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I just had to get it all out.
That's okay. I'm probably going to wear a cut-off Goodwill plaid shirt to every race for the rest of my life.
It is comfy, except for I got sand underneath.
Canned?
I can't. We ain't no crawdads. We ate sand. You did what? We ate sand.
I saw Crawdad on the course.
That's fucking insane. To be climbing up Ratjaw and be like, ooh, a lobster.
Just a bright red tiny lobster.
Why was it so high?
I don't know.
There's no water up there.
I don't know. Anyways, chicken skin.
I got chicken skin on my back. I lost my armpit. I'm the most fucked up after a race I've been in years and years.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had this many compounding issues at once after a race.
Yeah, my strategy of getting pre-scratched at nationals did not help me.
No.
I got just as much more scratch.
Well, we'll get to where you got your shit all torn up.
So we did our half rat and then headed down to Testicle Spectacle and Meth Lab, which are just... They're just stupid, crazy power line cuts, essentially, like on steroids, Tennessee style. And this is also, I think the half rat jaw was starting to get a little slippy, maybe a little muddy. But by the time I got to Testicle, and I think even you two ahead of me, it was really muddy.
Oh,
it was really muddy.
It was hysterically bad.
It was great.
It was great. I had a blast. I had a really good time.
Oh my gosh.
You did too?
I had so much fun going down Testicle Spectacle. Like, it does not scare me to go down mud.
No, me neither.
Like,
no. It was
scary to run into other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some scary moments. But I do know that, like, in order to slide down, you should not go on your butt because you might rip your ass up to shreds.
Me!
Like Annie did.
I did that.
You're supposed to put one foot down and one foot out and ride your foot down the hill.
I don't buy that. I would go on my butt again.
Oh, I would not.
There's too many people that got their foot stuck and then their knee went behind them.
Don't care. That's my mode. But yes, I had a very good time going down. And going down and up Testicle, I saw probably, realistically, 15 people I knew. And it was just like, I felt like when you go to, like, the senior dinner, and you're just like, and I love you, and I just, everything that we ever shared together, and I just loved, and if you just sign my yearbook, because I just, like, you inspire me, and I'm, like, gonna miss you so much. Like, I was feeling, like, all the feelings of, like, graduation day.
That's the best part about Testicle, is seeing people going down and coming up, because it's one of the few places where you have two-way traffic. So, and for me, it was fun to see, like, so I saw the rest of the guys in our group that came with us, that stayed in the same place from Columbus. And after I saw all of the rest of the people of our group and not you, I was like, Lauren's ahead of all of them.
Did you know that by then?
Yes, because as soon as I saw all of them and not you, I knew that you were already off Testicle. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But as you alluded to, when I went down Testicle, I slid once, ripped part of my shorts, slid again, ripped another part of my shorts, slid again, ripped my underwear.
Oh god. So
slid again, ripped my underwear some more, slid again, a guy grabbed me to, like, save me from going off of a ravine into a river, and I was like, oh, thank you. He goes, I wanted to keep you from dying. And when we got to the bottom, there was an aid station at the bottom of Testicle, and I was trying to get the guy that was punching bibs to tell me what was going on in my butt area.
And he was like, ma'am, I can't look at you that way.
I was like, is it, like, completely naked back there? Because I don't mind showing...
There's so much mud, how would you even know?
I couldn't tell. All I felt was strings. So he just was like, where is your bib? And I'm just like, tell me what my butt's doing. And then luckily, our dear friend Matt Calgill was close because because
you made him touch your butt.
Yeah, he very kindly poked me in the butt to let me know what was flesh and what was skin. But yeah, because I don't mind showing a little butt cheek, but I was afraid that I was going to be showing my genitalia.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of raw genitalia on the course this year.
I was not alone in the
There was so much nudity. So I got to the bottom Testicle, grabbed a gigantic handful of homemade Rice Krispie treats and housed them and felt amazing. Went back up, and halfway up, as is our way every year, I don't know how this happens, but Jay Crosby is always next to me on Testicle Spectacle. Every year. It's spiritual. It really is. There's something really special about it. And he didn't know who I was because his glasses were covered in mud and he was just blindly going at the hill.
I can't imagine wearing glasses this year.
He was like, whose voice is that? I was like, Lauren. And he was like, Lauren! And he turned around all the way to me while people are going up and down behind us. People were essentially like shooting through the air.
Flying over your heads.
Flying over our heads. He took his glasses off and he goes, look at me. You are grit and power. And I was like, thank you, Jay. And I was like, oh, I just got flushed with the Holy Spirit. I did. I got very overwhelmed with like radiant joy and love and like just feeling like I came here to be with my people and do something hard, and I'm doing everything that I've ever wanted. Like I am in my moment. My whole year is leading to this moment, the moment where Jay Crosby gives his Sermon on the Mount. And I was beside myself. And so when people were coming down after Jay had told me I was grit and power, I think I was what my dad calls irrationally exuberant.
Sure.
Because I ran into Michael Osinski and we were both, he's not even wearing a shirt. We're both covered in mud. And I like screamed like, motherfucker! It's like, we hugged as hard as we could, and that.
How did you have time to hug? What is happening up there in front of me? I'm like, I don't have time to turn around my shorts that I'm wearing backwards and rip the front out of to cover my buns, and you're like, I was hugging all my friends.
I hugged Brendan. I saw Sam, and he fist bumped me. I also saw. Oh my God, why is her name not going to come to me right now? I'm so mad. She's Bib 11, and I see her every year, and she's the reason, a huge part of the reason why I continued on last year, and she told me this year that I was the reason she continued on, and so we hugged. Oh man, Testicle Spectacle. In just a mud shit show of nonsense, I was just blanketed with happiness and love.
Yeah. So Testicle was good.
It was awesome.
Meth was also a muddy mess, that was a pretty big bummer, because I feel usually pretty comfortable to run down meth if the heat hasn't exploded my brain into 1,000 pieces. And I was like, oh, it wasn't like
I
super
lost time there.
Yeah.
I lost time there. And also...
And it's long when you're not running. I forgot how long it was.
It's very long.
Yeah.
And also the rut that's always there ended up being like 6.5 feet deep this year.
Yeah.
And so if you slipped into it, you were going to bust your ass.
Yeah.
I ended up passing like 10 men down meth, and I was fully in my power.
Yeah. Cruised out of the neighborhood past the bricks that say Jesus.
So weird.
Yeah, so weird, but
I ran that for the first time in the history of BFC.
Oh.
I ran all the way to the prison.
It was nice. I feel like that section of the race, going to the prison, is like the hottest place.
It's the worst. It's the least fun part of the entire course.
Yeah. And it's usually so hot, but it was not nearly as hot as it has been. It was like 3 p.m.
It was like 2 or 3 p.m. and it was
still cloudy.
It was very hot.
It was still cloudy, though.
Some delightful women opened a box of apple pie and fed it directly into my mouth, and
ridiculous.
I almost freaked out. I was really like meth high on sugar.
It's really funny to think with all of the races we've done lately, because at adventure races, they don't have aid station food. So it's funny to think about the luxury of the aid stations at BFC, but the food at BFC this year was luxurious.
It was, and also they advertised it as a race where there would not be aid stations, so I'm very confused by their presence.
Yeah.
It said be fully self-supported. You'll get water on the course.
But all of the aid stations were fully, officially stocked.
They were amazing.
Ding-dongs, mandarin oranges.
They were great.
Sword, water.
Yeah. And all of the Coalfield boys from the high school were as usual.
Also, the high school boys and the middle school.
The middle schoolers.
And I think elementary school.
Well, they were delightful.
They were all
wonderful
great.
As usual. Coming up to the prison, I ran into 2 hardcore veteran BFCers, Shannon Ray Dye and David Dye, who were unable to run this year. Shannon had some accidents and some multiple surgeries, and we had talked to her before the race, and we all got emotional just thinking that she couldn't be out there. but we cannot say thank you enough for your presence on the course because
and your energy, yeah.
And your energy and your love for the sport. When she saw me, she jumped into the air with 2 feet and stomped down and folded all the way in half and just screamed. And I was just like, I can't, I'm overwhelmed talking about this race because so many amazing things happened to me in this single race, and like so much love and support was just like shot at me like a fire hose that I just can't. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah. I want to give credit to the Dyes as well because they are also whether your streak is ended, you still have that as your list of accomplishments. The Dyes had five 50K finishes.
Yeah.
And I think, did they always finish together?
Yeah.
That's also really remarkable.
Yeah, they got sick last year on Rat Jaw and had to stop at the bottom. And I was crushed to see them sitting in those chairs. I was like, no, guys, it's us. You have to come together. We all have to go together.
Yeah, that's rough.
Well, just your ongoing support and love for the sport is very much cherished by us.
So, after going through the prison and we got to go through the tunnel this year, which I always like, because usually I'm feeling it because it's cool and I can sing and it's echoey and other people seem rather mystified by the darkness instead.
Yeah.
And then it was up Gunny Sack Hill to begin Rat Jaw. And
Gunny Sack. So many meltdowns on Gunny Sack.
So seeing Gunny Sack, at first I was kind of stoked because I think it's the most vegetated I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was covered.
And it did not help.
No, not at all.
The route to get up was completely slick mud. And there was a lot of people that had a really hard time, including myself. I tried to help a woman, Randy, in front of me, Randy Lucas, get up Gunny Sack, and she was having a really hard time, and I said, do I have my permission to put my arm in your crotch? She said, yeah, I don't know how that'll help. And so I pushed as hard as I could to get her up, and it just didn't work. And she, it was really difficult and scary because that hill is
very scary. It's a wall.
Also, it tends to be at the time of day when you are the most tired and the most hungry.
Yeah.
So it's a hard combination of factors. So she ended up coming down, and while she was kind of waiting on the perch to go down when she had a break between people, I made the attempt to get up the same way she had, and also was just like hanging on to a bundle of roots and was like, I might just have to go back down and try this again.
Yeah.
Luckily, Adam Holt, thank you very much. Adam Holt got to the top and leaned over and grabbed my hand and my arm.
Wow.
And at one point, he was just holding my entire body weight before I could grab something that was higher up. And I don't know that I would have gotten up without that. Wow. And I saw a lot of other people helping people up, being helped themselves because it was impossible.
Yeah. I literally threw John Calabrese's entire body up Gunny Sack by his ass. He was really, I think, in a moment of he was like, I can't, I hate it, stupid, no one get up it. And I was just like, shink. And he was like, oh, wow, thank you. It was very satisfying to be able to do that. But I did, however, end up behind a lot of men's butts who had torn their shorts on testicle spectacle.
So many torn shorts.
I just looked at so many buttholes up all the way up Rat Jaw. Just hairy man ass in front of me the whole way up.
Yeah. I was the person showing my butt.
Yeah, you
seemingly not my asshole, so you're welcome.
Yeah. But John Calabrese did pay me back in sport beans for throwing his body up the hill, so I'd say we made a fair deal.
Even.
Yeah, fair deal.
Yeah, that's a great deal. Talk about some of the audience or participant vibes at the prison before you went up Rat
Jaw. On the way into the prison, there were a family of dudes in an ATV who were like, yeah, get it. And I turned to the guy next to me and I was like, apparently all I needed validation in this life was to have a bunch of good old boys tell me that I was doing well at a race. And the guy goes, me too.
I actually met the other runners.
The other runners?
And their feelings of doubt already.
I don't remember.
Remember you told me people were already talking about the cutoff?
Oh, yeah. This happens every year. Every year, people already start saying, before we got to the bottom of Ratjaw, like, we're not going to make it. And I cracked a little because every year I have to hear that. And every year I'm like, no, guys, we're going to be okay. And I feel like maybe that has compiled in me a little bit because I feel like I know I can make it. But I also know I'm a different kind of runner than most. When I look at my splits and other people's splits, I have the slowest beginning splits and the fastest end splits. So maybe it's not for everybody, my mode. But I was like, yes, we fucking will. Yes, we fucking will. I finish every year, and I'm going to finish this year, and I know how much we have left, and we're going to fucking finish. And they were like, oh, jeez. And I was like, no jeez. Everybody shut the fuck up and come with me if you want to finish, but, like, no more of this fucking negative talk. Cause
also, that shit is so contagious.
Oh, it's really terrible.
It's so contagious.
It started to get in my brain, too.
And I feel like it starts to happen very early. So, same thing with Chimney Top, where there's no point in asking if you're to the top yet. There's no point in asking if you think you're going to make the cutoff or what somebody else thinks about making the cutoff. Because, let me posit this question to you. If I tell you that the cutoff is soon, and that enables you to go a little bit faster to make it, regardless of where the cutoff is, you should just go that little bit faster. And if knowing what time the cutoff is doesn't enable you to go any faster, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Just keep going until the cutoff passes.
Yeah. I was starting to math, though, as a result of that. So coming up Chimney Top, I think it was maybe like 4:20, 4:30 maybe at the top of Chimney, and I knew in my mind, I wanted to get to Laz by 5:20 to give myself 3 hours to finish the final loop, which in my mind I thought was the same loop as the beginning. So I thought it'll take me at least 2 hours and 45 minutes plus my slowness from exhaustion.
Do you feel like BFC math is that valuable, though?
It was all I had to go on, and I needed to know if it was possible for me to finish and how hard I was going to have to push. So coming to the top of Ratjaw, I had already in my mind decided that the rest of the race was going to be a full-blown, everything you've got as fast as you fucking can the whole way.
Before you get into 50K stuff, I want to finish my job.
Yeah.
So you're going up Ratjaw, you're in a decent spot, but I know at that point you didn't know or think you were in the clear. It was still seemed razor thin. I came into the prison. I think I started up Ratjaw for the full time at like 5. So, quite a bit later. And there were quite a few people that stopped at the prison because they were like, we're not going to be able to make the cutoff by the time we get up there. And they were like, I don't want to go up Ratjaw just to not make the cutoff. Which, I get it. It's hard.
Depends on if you like it.
Yeah. I thought we had already missed any rational opportunity to make the marathon cutoff.
Oh. Oh.
And you knew this. When I went up Ratjaw for the full time.
Oh, yes, I did know.
I was only doing it to say that I had done Ratjaw a time and a half. I thought at that point there was no chance for me to get the 50K. I knew I didn't have a chance to get the 50K. And I also thought I didn't have a chance to get the marathon.
That's a gritty ass move, bitch.
And I was like, I'm just gonna go up. Like, I'm just gonna keep going until I have to get off. And that's that.
That's that,
and
Mattress
so,
Man.
Headed up, after helping, or being helped getting up Gunny Sack Hill, did the first part of Ratjaw, which felt hard. It wasn't as easy as the first halftime at all. And then got to the old prison mine trail, which is like, I'll say air quotes, the halfway mark. And the medics were like, cutoffs in 45 minutes, we're giving rides. I proceeded to flip them the bird and point at my butthole for no apparent reason and continued to go up Ratjaw. But quite a few of my compadres that had started at the prison started to duck out at the prison mine trail, including Adam Holt, who told me after the race, the one who had helped me up Gunny Sack, who later told me after the race, I regret stopping. I should have gone with you. Ooh. I didn't know that the medics didn't really know what they were talking about.
No, never listened.
I mean, and they only know pieces, right? It's like at adventure races where they're like, you can ask the volunteer stuff, but we make no guarantees about if they know what they're talking about.
Important to know.
Plus, the medics are that's the siren's call of the medics at the halfway mark of Ratjaw.
Always.
It's very
they always
tempting.
look so smug.
Yeah. So I started up the next part of Ratjaw, and So after feeling like emboldened to be like, no, I will not stop. I'm going to finish this rat jaw. It felt like 25 minutes later, and I looked down, and it was like they were an arm's length away. It just seemed like it took forever to get out of reach of them. And there was a couple of guys behind me and one a bit up in front of me. And Eric, I think I have your last name right. So Eric Lutzenberger. We're going up. It still seemed like the medics were right there. And Eric's in front of me, and he like stops to turn around and just like take a breather, looking back down Ratjaw. And I said, get to the next telephone pole before you decide to come back down. Because in my head, that's what I was telling myself. I'll get to the telephone pole before I decide if I'm going to go back down to the medics. Because it was very tempting. And he said, oh, I'm not going down. Oh. And I was like, okay.
Good.
And I thought like, then I'm not going down either.
Good.
Yeah. So he took a breather. We continued to trudge up Ratjaw, and everybody just kind of understood, like, and there's these pockets of, like, hard truths that happen at BFC. So, like, the people who go to try to make the 50K that just get a DNF and don't get a marathon. The people that go up Ratjaw knowing that they can't get a 50K or that they might not get anything. Like, those are weird, brave, sad pockets of runners. And I felt like this was one of them. It like felt like somber but important. And again, thought I was going to walk away with nothing. So it was like, there's no reason to be here except for that I've chosen to be here. And I just, and as we got closer to the top, I was like, Eric, do you know when the cutoff actually is? And he goes, this is only for pride. And I was like, okay. Aww. And we just continued on. And so we get to the top of Ratjaw. It's Eric, this guy Terry in front of me, another guy that was in our group, and we all just kind of like stood like staring at each other, like shaking hands, almost like, good job. Yeah. Good job. We did it. Yeah. And a guy came up in an SUV and was like, I'm supposed to come up here to punch bibs, and it was like, okay. And I thought like, I don't even know what we're supposed to do yet, because it's like, I don't know that it's, again, I didn't think anything could happen, so I was like, do we just take the shortest way down? What happens next? So we're kind of like shuffling along to Tub Springs, and I get to Tub Springs, and Carl Laniak, I was like, was there, and I said, so what happens next? And he goes, well, he's like, you go and you get your marathon finish. And I was like, what? And he goes, well, he's like, you got an hour and 20 minutes. He said you can't dilly-dally too much, but as long as nothing happens,
from Tub Springs down Old Mac, so you had like 3.5 miles to get home, right?
Yeah, in an hour and 20 minutes.
You can fucking do that.
And I was like, up to that point, I'd just been like walking and talking to Eric about like our race history and stuff, and Carl's like, and so I just started like yelling expletives, excited. I was like, I just shredded my pussy up Ratjaw, thinking that there was no reason to do it except for to get 1.5 Ratjaw. And he goes, I could have done without that mental image. I said, I'm fucking excited! Like, so I took a jug of water.
This is so batshit crazy. This is so Annie Lang batshit.
I've already heard from other people that other people were carrying water jugs down Old Mac.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a weird
So
flex.
I grabbed a gallon of water because I had run out of water on Ratjaw, was like chugging a bunch, then would pour some for weight, chugging a bunch, pour it so that I just had an empty water jug but was as hydrated as I could be. And I like strapped the empty water jug to my chest.
That shit crazy.
And it's like, so I'm like power walking like a lunatic, like down Old Mac, because I was like, I know I have plenty of time, but I don't have like a surplus of time. Like, I could still mess this up if I don't pay attention. And like the water jug's clanking on my chest, and people are just like, what is going on back there? And it's like, it's me! And like, that was at 7:00. And I ended up getting in at the finish at like 8 hours at 13 hours and 10 minutes. So like I took the whole day to do the marathon, and the mileage using Gaia ended up being like 32 miles. And I was like, 32. I was like, I feel no sorries about this finish.
That's awesome.
I used all of the time. I did all of the things.
You got to see everything. You did it well with integrity.
Yeah.
You helped others.
Yeah.
You had
was
fun.
Helped by others. Had fun.
Like, what more could you possibly ask for?
I was kind to myself all day. But, so that happens, and actually, like, the timelines are messed up because Lauren actually finished in front of me, which is just bonkers. But, so I want to back up to you getting to the decision point for the 50K.
Okay.
Which is at...
So I got there at, like, 5:20, 5:19. My plan was to get there at 5:20.
Point at Tub Springs, or is it at the bottom of Old Mac again?
No, Tub Springs.
Okay.
I think. Yes. I actually can't remember. Oh, God. I don't know.
I feel like...
I'm bad at the course.
Well, think about this. Were you on Old Mac going shit, or were you like, time to go?
Okay, no. I was going down Old Mac going shit. I think. Yeah, I was.
I think the decision point was at the bottom.
Yes, I think you're right. So I got to Laz, and I came up to him at, like, high speeds looking insane, and he was like, you want to stay? You know, win the marathon? And I was like, I'd rather die. And he went, atta girl. Punched my bib, and I left. I don't remember seeing anything. I think I took a pie. Yes, it was at the bottom of Old Mac. I took a pie. I took a shot of Bang, which I should not have done because it immediately flipped my guts. So
were your guts good all day until then?
I took too much caffeine at once, and I really hurt my stomach
we usually
so
split
badly.
Those too.
I really hurt my stomach. So I'm coming into Bird, and I know that there are 13 switchbacks, so I'm just going to yell the number of the switchbacks out loud like an insane person as I pass each of them. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. But then, like, 3, there was a guy maybe one switchback ahead and one switchback behind, so kind of close to me, and my guts flipped out, and I thought, like, I have to poop or I'm gonna die. Or throw up, or both at once. I don't know what's gonna happen. Tried to poop, couldn't poop. Kept going, tried to poop again. So I tried to poop 3 times up Bird. I still did Bird in like 45 minutes, which is insane. I was
saying
mad.
You're pooping your way up Bird just as a funny image.
Yeah, right? But
also, there's no coverage. Aww.
No, I was in intense pain, and I kept asking myself, like, what are the facts, Lauren? The facts are, can you move your body at high speeds? Yes. Will it hurt? Yes. Too bad. The facts are, if you can move, you must move. Quickly as fucking possible.
And if you stopped, your guts wouldn't feel any better.
No. And I kept saying that too, because that's an Annie thing that I've learned. Does it feel better to walk? No. Then you must run. So I got to the top, and you cruise straight through instead of turning right where you would normally go to descend. You stay on... what's it called?
Well, you get onto the Cumberland Trail.
Cumberland Trail.
Yeah.
So I stopped there to read my map, and Olga comes up on me, and I was like, oh no, look at all these women. She was with like a choo-choo of women. And then the poison filled the bloodstream, and I lost my actual fucking mind.
You should give some context of why you would think, look at all these women.
Because in my mind, I think that I've been creeped up to the top quarter of the participants, and I think that it's possible at that moment that I could have been in the top 10 women, which is always my goal at BFC and never fucking happens.
Yeah.
And also, Olga's just, like, the toughest bitch ever. She's an adventure racer and an incredibly accomplished ultra runner. She's just super strong and a good map reader. Like, I thought if I'm anywhere near Olga, I'm having the best race of my life.
Yeah. I think Olga, and this is at Nationals and any adventure race we've done, Olga shows up in the most aggressive and assertive way. It makes you want to do the same.
Yes.
Like, nothing makes me want to be a competitor.
Yes.
Much more than
her spirit.
Olga Huber.
And she did, as she always does, made fun of me. She was like, here we are again, and you don't know how to read a map.
That's awesome.
I was like, all right, okay.
Fair enough.
So I didn't really have a good concept of how many miles were left, and there were 3 more miles than I thought left when I crossed over onto the Cumberland Trail.
That's so funny that you thought you needed 3 hours to do that loop and also thought you had more miles.
But I figured out where I was when I got to that spot. So I knew where I was in the map, and in my memory of the first loop, I thought, okay, I know where the Pillars of Doom are, and I know what the rest of the descent feels like. Way, 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 way longer than I remembered.
Yeah, because you got to run that ridge first before you descend. Yeah.
It goes forever. So I went, I was doing a lot of self-talk. I just kept saying to myself, I want to be a person that Annie Lang would refer to as a fucking psycho.
If you'll remember from our last episode about Adventure Race Nationals, I referred to Laura Kalmtoys lovingly as a psycho because she just was pedaling like a madwoman in front of us happily the entire time, and it just...
I was desperate for that moniker, so I couldn't... I kept saying, full fucking psycho. Go full fucking psycho. So I was running so fast that when I would get to the top of the rollers while running the rollers, I was just going, ah, 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 ah.
Oh man, weird noises have become more and more helpful.
They help me so much. So I was just like getting the top and being like the pain, my knees were exploded, my quads were exploded, my guts were on fire. I felt like I was going to throw up. I was running literally as fast as I could, and I passed these dudes, and when I thought I had 1.1-ish to go, I said, how much do you think, guys? And they were like, 3? And I was like,
whoa.
No. And then I thought, this is the kind of race where when you think you've had enough, there's always a good chunk more to absolutely test you to your limits. And that's like 100-miler too. It's like, I gave everything. And they're like, yeah, we'll do 20 more. But I gave everything. And they're like, yeah, do 20 more. Mm-hmm. That's how those last 3 miles felt like. They felt like the last 20 miles of a 100-miler.
Yeah.
But I was like, take this opportunity, Lauren, to like bask in the glory of your day. Like, be appreciative of all of the beautiful people out here, how well you ran. You were really consistent. You followed your original mantra, which was do not doubt yourself. And here you are, for sure going to finish. Just take it all in and let the goosebumps start. Like, woohoo. So I did that, and I ran wicked fast, came into the chutes, and I was just flooded with emotion and happiness. It was just the best thing. And I actually didn't really get to celebrate. Well, I did, because Brendan and Ben and Sam were there, and Brendan O'Ryan really was like, I'm so fucking proud of you. And I was just like, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. But I really didn't like fully let it all out until I saw you finish. And then I told you how I finished, and we were both feeling very good about what we did out there. And we just hugged and fucking sobbed our eyes out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I'm so proud of you. And Andy was like, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
And
we were just like screeching and crying. Oh. And because, and it felt really good to be so wholly in our different results and to fully be appreciative of where we are as individuals. You know, like we've run BFC together twice, like actually running together twice, half together once.
15 and 16.
And, people were asking us at the start, like, are you guys running together? And we were like, no. Like,
no,
so simultaneously,
we respect each other.
No, like, we're different athletes, and that's okay. Yeah. And it felt really good, that whole part where I was saying beforehand, being a little worried that even if I went in with the intent of being grateful for wherever I came and not comparing myself to Lauren, I knew that there was a possibility I still might feel like shit afterwards, and I didn't. We were just both like in the fullness of our accomplishments. Also, like, it's hard to see people drop from the streak group. So the people that have completed BFC for a number of years, and it seems like when people stop getting their 50K finishes, we don't see them for a while. But you, as a result of some of that fallout, you have gotten to rarer and rarer air. So like, there are 2 8-time finishers. That's Tim Dines and Aaron Bradner. And then I think there are 4 of us left that will have 7. Which is like, I might get some of these wrong, but I think Lisa Hazlitt has 7. Ben Yancey has 7, and I'm forgetting the 4th. Please forgive me. Or maybe it's me. That's me. Yeah.
What's her name?
Lauren. But you and Lisa are tied for the most BFC finishes.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
Ooh, I'm very excited.
The sustained accomplishment of 7 50K finishes across very different years, very different courses, very different results is like...
I love it more than ever, I have to say. I love this race above all races. I continue to... It's the very passion of my heart.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. I actually thought this year with, like, this was the kindest I've ever talked to myself for an entire race, which I was really stoked about, because usually my first place my brain goes when I'm under duress is like, I don't know why you think you can do this, or why you think you can do some of the things you have coming up. And really the whole time I was just like, consider running. What if you didn't stop? You can do this for 8 days. Just time out on the course. Like, it was a lot of, like, generous, to talk to myself that way. But I did think, so the temperature, because of how much rain it was, it was so much cooler this year. And I thought, God, I don't know how much of my success at BFC is related to my training and how much is going to be the heat forever and always.
Yes, it's a very hot race.
It's a very hot race, and it really made me think about, like, I stopped applying to the Western States Lottery because someone was like, you don't like heat? Why are you applying to run a desert race in the middle of the summer? And I was like, that's a great question. I think I'll stop. I think I'm going to keep doing BFC because it's really important to me, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to... I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get around the heat thing. I know I've done San Diego and been successful, but like 2019, I did a lot of sauna work, things specifically to do better in the heat, and it did not work.
I'm going to call you out a little on this because you do it to me. I have said to myself, like, I'm just not a good descender, and you're like, no, you're not. You are a good descender. I'm watching you do that right now.
Yeah.
And I've seen you do hot races well, so it may not be as much as like the definitive factor holding you back.
Yeah.
But I think you brought
this
up.
What if I want to use it as
No, you may not. You may not.
Okay.
I think you brought up that before we're 50, you'd like to run it together again, and now that's in my mind, and I want it so bad.
Oh, I said at 50.
Oh, at 50.
At 50. Yeah, don't peer pressure
Okay,
me.
No, not too fast. When we're 50.
But yes, I would like to run it together again sometime, but like, you go off the rails to train for BFC.
Batshit crazy.
So.
Yeah. The last thing that I wanted to sneak in, which I mentioned earlier in the podcast, was something that Chris Haas had mentioned in the message to me, which is something that we frequently marvel at in ultra races that I kind of wanted to emphasize, which is that, like, all different kinds of bodies and people can do well at this kind of race. Like, men, women, people of color, tall bodies, skinny bodies, short bodies, fat bodies, round bodies, like bodies that are giant pencils. Like, I saw a man who was 7 feet tall out there, and he was ripping it.
Yeah.
And just like, you don't know what kind of power is packed into the kind of body that you're looking at. Like, you just can't know. You cannot know by looking at somebody what kind of power is packed into them. So
only you know.
Only you know.
Can find out.
Yeah, and I just think that's a beautiful part of this kind of race.
Yeah. So, anyways. I can't say until next time yet. Happy 4-year anniversary.
Happy 4-year anniversary.
Until next time.
We are. Barf Barf!